Drew, when you start looking back at each game you played in this year, do you watch it red zone, third down, deep shots? How do you sort of divide up to gain the most knowledge from your play?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that obviously goes into it. You can watch a full game, or you can start breaking it down by, completions, incompletions, throws to the left, throws to the right. There's just so many ways you can go about it. I think obviously for me, I'm going to watch these games in full at first and then go back and do like what I said, then go back to completions, then go back to maybe even certain plays, breaking it down by certain cut-ups and figuring out what I could do better on that certain play or that certain situation to, kind of prep myself for going into next year.
Next one, Jeff.
Drew, you've even talked about seeing Josh Allen work with Jordan Palmer, and I wanted to ask you, Josh has said his ability to improve his footwork and work on those things were a big part of the jump he's made. Where do you think that fits in your off-season work?
Yeah, footwork will be huge. I think what, Josh got, the good end of it by being able to have the same guy and figure out footwork for certain plays that he wants to run and knows his timing. That's just comes with, a consistent, coordinator and, his plan going into games. And I think that's just what we're going to keep growing. I feel like my footwork towards the end of the year kept getting better, and I was just more familiar with the plays. I knew what I needed, how I needed to step, where my problems were, if I needed to get it out quick, what I was going to end up taking and drop instead. And there's a ton of work that can be done off season with quarterback coaches, and they help out tremendously. I worked a lot with mine last year and will this year, but it's really about being comfortable in the system that you're in, knowing what footwork you need to take going in on these drops.
Is it like you say? Is it familiarity, or did you actually tweak something during the year as you continue to work through it?
I think both of those go hand in hand. You get more familiar with it, and you can end up tweaking some things. I the way I did things at the beginning of the year, again, after I watch all these games and go back and analyze it, I bet that, we'll go back and watch the things I was doing at the beginning of the year, footwork-wise, on certain plays, will definitely gotten tweaked over the year, and just found ways to try to make it better every time you end up going out there. And that's the thing I'm excited about. I get to go watch a full season minus a couple games and really just dive into, what I am as a quarterback and how I can get better.
Next one, Troy.
Drew, thanks for joining us today. To your point, the last 7 games was 11 touchdowns to 5 picks. Does that give you kind of something to hold on to? Did you get a greater appreciation for ball security this year and what that means in the NFL? And what about competition if they bring it in? How do you approach that?
Well, yeah, ball security is huge in this league, and I definitely did realize that and tried to do a better job of that, to wrap up the season, and just got more comfortable with the game. I got more comfortable with what we were doing and how to see the defense, and it was just reps. It was just reps, and same thing with the guys around me at the same time. We got more reps with them and got to get on the same page, and guys just started making plays, and we all just really started meshing together. As far as competition, I mean, yeah, if they bring it in, then I'll, I can control what I can control. I'm going to focus on what I need to do to be the best quarterback I can be. And if I do that, I feel like, I should get the job done and be able to still remain the guy here.
Next one, Mike.
Yeah, Drew, that was kind of the question I was going for. Last year, Elway made it clear you were the guy and they were building this team around you. And he may still do that again in 2021, but you may hear, that they're wanting this type of veteran who's got some skins on the wall, has some NFL starts, or you may hear they're looking in the first or second round again. How do you think you will handle that as you hear those type of rumors, speculations this year, if it does happen?
Yeah, I mean, at first I got to hear them. So I can just not listen, stay off the social media and do what I need to do. And that's work hard in this off season, figure out what I need to do better, get my body right, get my mental side right. But kind of like everything that went on this year, everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks they know what's going on. And went in one ear and out the other, and that'll be the same thing that happens this year. Control what I can control, and just get to work, get to work, make me the best quarterback I can be.
Thanks, Amari.
Hey, Drew,
Go ahead, Ari.
what gives you confidence that a year from now you'll be sitting here preparing for a playoff game instead of cleaning out your locker?
Just by the way this year started ended up and how I started feeling. I don't think there's any reason that we can't come out and be a team that is competing for that spot. With the guys that we have on this team, all of us being healthy, the knowledge that those young guys gained this year with Albert and Jerry and KJ and getting Cortland back and Melvin, having a full healthy O-line throughout the year. The sky's the limit for us, especially with how I felt towards the end of this year and how I feel like I can control a game. I go into a game feeling good, just knowing what I'm going to see and knowing where I need to get the ball. It can only get better from here. More reps in OTAs, more reps in training camp, and then go into a game super confident. Like I said yesterday, for the second time with the same offensive coordinator in my football career. It's first time that happened to me was my junior year of college, and threw 44 touchdowns and set an SEC record that got beaten pretty recently. But there's no doubt in my mind that this team can be extremely, extremely good, and it's going to start with the way that I play. And this offseason, I'm going to make sure that I can come back ready to roll.
Time for a few more. Next one, Zach.
Drew, you said there's a lot of opinions on you, and there probably will be this offseason as well. Do you think you did enough this year to be the starting quarterback week one? And if so, why so?
I definitely feel like I progressed as the year went on. Of course, I'm going to be my biggest critic and say that, I could have done a lot of things better. That'll always be that way. But truthfully, as far as growth-wise and the plays that I made this year, taking care of the ball was the biggest thing for me, in my opinion. But without a doubt, I feel like I can be the guy here and will be the guy. And that's always a weird question to answer, because I know personally in my head and the way I feel, without a doubt, how comfortable I got with this offense towards the end of the year and the guys around me. You want to be that guy here. Everybody wants to be the guy here with all these young guys we got running around. And I'm excited to give everything I can in this offseason to still be that guy going into next year. But I do believe I am.
Next one, Nate.
Yeah, Drew, I'm wondering how much your optimism and what the offense can be stems from what you saw from the offensive line. I think in Steelers and Buccaneers game, and you were only in for a short time of that, but 13 sacks allowed. Since then, I think only 3 teams gave up fewer sacks. Part of that is obviously your ability to avoid them. But what did you just see growth-wise from that group?
Yeah, no matter what group you threw out there with them, when we got affected by COVID or a couple injuries, they all meshed extremely well. It's a really tight room. They can figure things out on the fly when they need to, and that was a big thing for them, man. They were big in communication. Coach Munchak obviously does an amazing job, and we were getting those guys in the right spots, and they were making the right calls and fixing it here and there if need be. But it felt good standing back there in that pocket, and that is a positive about this team, because if we can block and protect and let those guys run around that we have on the field, it can be a scary sight.
Final two, Brandon and George.
Drew, I got a couple for you that relates to your offseason. You had mentioned that you thought you knew how to approach the offseason, and you really didn't. So I'm curious, what are some of the things you're going to do differently? And then kind of what's your plan? I know you spent the early part of quarantine in Kansas City, but then the rest in Denver. And will you get guys together even before April rolls around, regardless of what OTAs may or may not look like?
Yeah, no, we've already started talking about trying to figure out a time for us to all get together early and then a little bit later in the off season. My majority of my time is going to be spent here in Denver working with Lauren, but at the same time going back, throwing with Justin a little bit, working with my guy back home. But majority of my time, like I said, will be spent here in Denver, and it's going to be a big grind in the film room for me this year. I want to see if I had any tendencies going through this. Obviously, you look at it a little bit at the end of each week on something you might have been given away, but I want to see my tendencies. I want to see where, I had a tough time completing the ball, whether that was to my right because I didn't push my shoulder out, or if it was to my left, I left everything open. some pocket movement stuff. When did I feel like I left the pocket was a certain look or a certain stunt that I felt in front of me that pushed me out of the pocket for a certain reason. Go back and watch all of the AFC West. Let's watch those guys. If you can win this division, it's a pretty good chance you're going to be going to the playoffs. So there's just the little intricate things that I want to focus on going into this offseason, and I'm really excited to be able to because, like I said, last year, I was just trying to figure out this offense that we ran this year, threw all the time, lifted all the time, but there wasn't anything that really dove into me as, watching some tendencies, like I said, there was just not a lot of that. It was all about I need to focus on figuring out this offense. And now that I have the same offense, it opens up a lot of windows for me to be able to watch and do other things.
Final one, George.
Yeah, Drew, you've talked a lot about how you've just progressed over the entire season. Is there a particular game that you look back and say that's the game that was a turning point, or a game that, you look at week 10 against the Raiders, you had, one of your rougher games, and since then you haven't turned the ball over as much. Was there a specific turning point this season that you felt like you took a big step?
Yeah, I think after the Raiders game, like you mentioned, was a big, look in the mirror type thing for me. Needed to take care of the ball. And at that point, everything just started being clear. I knew where to get to with the ball. It was just getting familiar with this offense and certain looks we got for certain plays. I know I sound like a broken record, but it really is. It's about how comfortable you can get back there as a quarterback with the offense, and where you go out there and whatever play you call in the huddle, you know exactly what you're doing with the ball. You've seen it in multiple looks. And that's just kind of the feeling I got towards the end of the year. I wouldn't say it was necessarily one game. It was really just the fact that towards the end, we'd had so many reps on these plays now that you can feel confident going out there with whatever look they give you, you're going to be able to make it right as a quarterback.